Whew, all right. Thank you all very much. Real quick, just because I start off with a lot of random things. Has anyone ever seen a movie trailer that's gotten them really excited about a movie, and then they see the movie and it's not that great? Does that happen to anybody? All right, it's kind of like that intro is to my talk. So let's temper down the expectations that we have. So let's just bring that down. No, it's an honor to be here. Yes, I'm the social media manager for Elon University. I'm also an Elon graduate. I graduated in 2010. I played basketball here. I was also a product of the comm school, not that pretty one that they're building now, but I'm not bitter. I then played professional basketball for 5 seasons. The reason why that's important is because that's where I really learned the importance of social media. For me, it was a lot of negative learning in the sense of when I would go to do contract negotiations, teams would pull from my social media accounts of things that they thought warranted me making less money, whether that be icing my knees, whether that be, now keep in mind, I do not drink alcohol, just as a preference, whether it be out with my friends. They said, the lifestyle that it seems you're injury prone and you may not be that serious about basketball. It's obviously just a tactic, but what it taught me was the product that I put on social media, someone who doesn't know me, they're going to assume that is who I am. So I learned very quickly the ins and outs of social media because it pertained to me creating a living. So after that, I got a job in downtown Raleigh as for a digital marketing firm as their social media director. This job opened up, and I have been here since February of last year. So today, we're going to talk about social media, and especially as it relates to Elon University. But before we continue, look at this pretty word mark that we have. Y'all like this? The correct answer is yes, by the way, you do like this. But we're gonna talk about it in relations to Elon University. Now, it is not cookie cutter for every department, so what I'm going to be speaking on is going to be pretty general. It's a lot of how-tos. It's very basic. What I want is, because I don't want you to think, oh, I can take this, slap it into my department, and be good to go. No, social media needs to be tailored to be genuine. So, with that, we'll move forward. First thing, by the way, how many people in here have seen The Matrix? Okay, good amount. First one, does anyone know what this is? Know thyself, you know, in the Oracle. I had a joke that was gonna go with it, but it means know thyself, okay? And what that means is talking about your brand. What do you stand for? Don't stray from who you are. Now, why is that important? Well, one, you don't just want to add to the noise of social media. Social media is a very noisy place. There's a lot of different conversations going on, a lot of great conversations, a lot of silly conversations. You want to make sure you're making a contribution. Now, one of the buzzwords that I always say is break through the noise. That's what you want to try and do, is break through the noise. So you find ways to do that. However, you have to remember who you are. And this is a very short version. This is my elevator pitch. Elon is a nationally renowned institution focused on creating global citizens. So at the end of the day, every post that you put out needs to represent that. And if you can stick to your brand, you'll be okay. Because what happens is a lot of brands try and get into relevant conversations that don't have anything to do with their brand, and it gets them in trouble. So as we talk about how to break through the noise, we remember what Elon stands for, and it's important. Cool, we have our brand. Now, let's talk about our audience. First thing you need to figure out is, what is the demographic makeup of your audience? How many people have parents that are on social media? How many people have children that are on social media? If you look at their timelines compared to yours, there'll be a drastically different look at the type of content that's on there. So you have to know, different audiences want different things. So it tailors best to your audience. For Elon, What do you think our number one audience is? On social media? Students. What do you think our second audience is? Alumni. Students and alumni. Now, that's okay for me, because that's basically 18 to, 35. I'll call that young alumni until I turn 36, then it'll be 36, our young alumni. 18 to 35. What's our third biggest audience? Parents. Exactly. Now, a lot of times, those are things that because me and social media, I innately know, or we can innately understand. But you also want to see, does your data back that up? This is from Elon's Facebook page, looking at the makeup of our 27,000 fans. I think it was like 20 when I started, but no big deal. It's fine. Here are students right here. They make up the majority of our audience. Then comes our young alumni. And then right here, 45 to 54, those are mostly our parents. Now, what's the other thing you notice? We have more women than men that follow us, and this is just Facebook, by the way. And also, it's a fairly big jump, especially here. Why is that not a surprise? Who's here? Moms. My mom still follows Elon and will tell me about stuff happening at Elon that I put out. So moms are very invested when it comes to social media, and that's important when I'm tailoring my messages. Now, let's talk about platforms. There are lots of different platforms out there. Facebook, there's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's Snapchat, there's YouTube, LinkedIn, a whole lot of platforms. And at first, that can seem intimidating. Because ain't nobody got time for all that. So just remember, not all are created equal. We know our audience demographics, we know our brand. We take those and we decide which platforms serve us best. Choose platforms based on audience demographics, and this is a big one, content relevance. Do I have anybody from the bursar's office here? One, okay. So I've been kind of picking on y'all in all of my talks, so now I kind of have to face the music here. But here's what I usually say. We know that our audience is mostly students. Students right now love Snapchat. So if students love Snapchat, should Elon Bursar's office be on Snapchat? Well, they fit the first half. But if we haven't been on Snapchat, does what the bursar's office does their content resonate with what Snapchat is? Probably not. And that's sometimes hard for some departments to hear. Is that, hey, I know that you want to be there, but your content may not resonate the way you want. Instagram, for example. Instagram is the highest growing platform for millennials. What is Instagram based off of? Say it again. You can say it loud, that's fine. Pictures, visual content. Not just visual content, high quality visual content. It's a supermodel of social media. People don't care that it's filtered, that it's photoshopped. They just want to see pretty things on there. So if your content doesn't match that, then question why you would be there. Now, if I recommend that to you, it's not because I want to ruin your fun. If you want to do an Instagram, that's fine. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not the law, as my boss told me. But just know that this is about time management. You want to have the effective time placed in the right areas, and that comes from the right social media platforms. Cool. So we have our platform set, we have our audience, we know who we are. Let's talk about content. Well, we want our content to resonate with our audience to elicit a response. Side note, searching for a group of people giving thumbs up is a fantastic way to waste 10 minutes. But we want our audience to resonate with our content. We want them to have all the feels. Yes, I knew that was gonna happen. Yes, that is what we want. We want emotion. Sex sells on TV, emotion sells on social media. If you think back to every single thing that you interacted with on social media, guarantee you had some type of emotional response. However, be careful. Good, I see. Look, I got a problem for everybody in here. We don't always want certain emotions. Anger, for example. Everyone get this? 12 angry, we got some youngins in here. 12 angry men? Anyways, it's all right. We want to be careful because, and you'll see it, anger is a great social media motivator. Now, usually when you'll see that, it's through a third party, such as somebody putting out content that someone else says that angers the community. That still gets shared around. Politics is a great example. People will share almost more about the candidate they hate than the candidate they support. So know that all emotions drive traffic, and you want to be able to use those correctly. So we have our content. Let's talk about who our competition is. Now, the first thing we think of as an Elon account is our peer and aspirants, right? That's what we're competing with. We want to be better than whoever that list may be. However, that's not what we're competing with on social media. Social media is about entertainment. Look, I love Elon. I graduated from here. I still wear all the gear that I have. I work here now, like they pay my checks, so I better love this place. At 9 o'clock, when I'm in bed, it's kind of early, but look, it's fine, all right? And I'm scrolling social media, I don't want to see anything from Elon. I want to see NBA highlights. I want to see people falling down. You know, let's not judge me on my personal habits, okay? But that's the type of thing I want to see. I want to be entertained. So you have to know that this is what you're competing against. So when you are creating your messages, understand people don't necessarily want to hear an institutional message. You can still put it out there, but you frame it in such a way that your audience is willing to listen. And that's a delicate balance. You can't go too far to where it sounds disingenuous, but you want to make sure that your audience is willing to listen. Because at the end of the day, social media was not created for brands. Why are brands, Nike, schools, universities, why are they on social media? Exactly, because everyone else is there, because their audience is there. But social media is made for peer-to-peer interaction. So if you're going to be there, understand that that's the primary use and adjust accordingly. Great, so we know our competition, we know what our content is. How do we put that out? Well, less is more or less. Y'all see what I know. Y'all see it, I know. Shorter posts can increase engagement by up to 86%. Let's take this post from Elon Day. All right? Now, Elon Day is what? It was March 8th, and what is that for? What is the purpose of Elon Day? It's our giving campaign. It's our biggest single day of giving that Elon puts on. Does this say anything about giving? No, it doesn't. It's a decent picture. You know, that was taken one morning. It says, "Good morning, Elon. Elon Day is upon us." Doesn't say anything about giving. This photo got 36 shares and over 365 likes. Why is that important? Because every time that's shared, that giving link has been taken to everybody's timeline. So they're going to get the message. We don't have to overtly tell them to give. Now, we did later in the day, but this was a short post that had everybody focused here, yet it still took our message with them when they interacted with it. Keeping things short is extremely helpful. So, what do we mean by short? Twitter, you want to keep it to around 71 to 100 characters. Facebook, 40 to 119. Does anyone know what TLDR means? Too long, didn't read. If you start getting too wordy, people are not going to be interested. Now, there are times, this is not, and this rule is not in stone. There are times where it is a requirement as an institutional body, because remember our brand, that we'll need to put out more words, and that's fine. But we're talking about how to reach our audience the best. This is what the data shows. So it's something to keep in mind. If you can keep it short, definitely keep it short, unlike the length of this presentation. So, what type of content? Well, visual content is good. Video content is king. So, how many people have watched a video on Facebook? Yeah, almost everybody. Who would want to take a guess at how many video hours are logged on Facebook per day? 1 million. All right, so we just go jump really high. 100 million video hours per day. That's a lot of video. And this has happened just over the past year that video content has become king. Now, if you think about it, here's why. Let's take this post, for example. This was shot on an iPhone. It was a little shaky. My boss did it. Well, he's formerly my boss, so I can say that now. It wasn't the greatest video ever produced, but just done on an iPhone. I love you, Eric Townsend. But the reason why it resonated so much is for several reasons. This was when Glenda Phillips Hightower and Eugene Perry had their paintings unveiled, which would be permanent on campus. This is during February, which is Black History Month, and it goes back to the beginning. You could feel the emotion. Right now, you can't really see it because it's a little grainy, but even in this screenshot, Glenda Phillips Hightower has her hands over her mouth. You can feel that. You can feel the struggle that they went through being the first African Americans on Elon University's campus. That video shows their gratitude, which is why this reached 152,000 people and had 26,000 views when I captured this screenshot. That's what people want to see. They want to be able to feel that genuine, authentic emotion. So, what does that all boil down to? Well, it boils down to engagement. Now, not this type of engagement. We're not talking about that, unlike my parents. But we are talking about how do we get our audience to interact with us. We're putting out the content, we're keeping it short, but what type of content is it? Well, first, know who's engaging with your audience. So before, we saw that the breakdown of our audience, which is great. I would love for Elon to have 1 million followers, because then I would ask for a really big raise. But if they're not engaged, it doesn't matter. The reason why social media is so special is you can take the instant pulse of your audience. So we look at it here. Of this, 74 people are engaged. 65% of those are ones that like our page. So we can even see that of our audience, for me, what's important to see is that women engage at even higher rates than our audience is made up of. So that's important for me. Now, this is going to be different for every page. So don't take this as law. look at your own pages and see what it's telling you. But this is important on being able to gauge what type of content is going to resonate, or trying to come up with a campaign to get engagement from those audiences that are not. Now, the what type is just as important as the when. This is another thing that's great to see. When is your audience online? Now, this shows about how much of our audience gets online per day. Now, this is pretty impressive. We have 27,000 people that follow us. That basically says that almost all of our audience is online every day. So for those that think social media is just a fad or just a thing, that's not correct. People have integrated social media into the fabric of their lives, for better or worse for society, but I'm not here to talk about that. But that's important. Equally important is knowing when they are online. We spike right around 8:30, 9 o'clock. Dinner's done, you're watching TV, you're about to head to bed, you're just kind of casually browsing. So that's an important slot. Other spikes are right, we're seeing right at 8, 9, the start of the workday. We see a little spike here at noon. We have little dips right before dinner, right in the 2 o'clock hour. But also, the time, especially because we're an institution, do we want to put up a lecture on microfinance at around 8:30 p.m.? Probably not. That may not get the engagement. Even though our audience is there, we have to make sure we're seeing what type of content resonates, especially after work or school hours. So, here's a goal. Creating content your audience will appreciate. Here's a false goal. Creating viral content. How many people have heard of viral content? How many people have seen a viral video? There's a lot of people that want to create viral content. Now, you can never create viral content. Now, here's what I mean by that. Craig, over here, how many people have seen House of Cards? You know the intro to House of Cards, all the time lapses around Washington, D.C.? Fantastic. Craig recreated that with Greensboro as his city. Amazing, amazing piece of work. We put it out there, got some pretty good engagement. How many people have heard the phrase, damn Daniel? So damn Daniel is literally these high school kids talking about this guy's shoes. And after a week, it had 46 million views. Craig recreated a time lapse of a city. But people just want to see someone saying, back at it again in their white Vans. We can't control what goes viral. The audience does. So all we can do, the bottom line is, that wasn't good content. What Craig created is good content. That stands on its own. You want to make sure that whether people engage with it or not, it is good content that sticks with your brand. Let your audience decide if they want to share it, because at the very end, it's not like TV where you can plaster it with ads. If your audience doesn't want to engage with it, they won't. And there's nothing you can do about that, and that's okay. Create content that's good. Now let's talk about challenges. You want to have a plan. Now, you can't plan for everything, but be prepared for what you can. Saying something is better than saying nothing at all. We do not want to come off as apathetic. Now, when I say create a plan, that may have to go through channels higher than you. So don't go rogue now and just start talking during a crisis and then say, I did it. Nah, I'm not backing you up on that. So, you want to make sure that you're prepared. An example, a perfect example, is the way that Mizzou handled their information when their students said that there was racial inequality. Now here's the thing, we can argue back and forth on whether they were valid or not in their argument. The bottom line is they were ignored until it became a national sensation, and then it was too late. On social media, if you put an errant tweet or if something happens and people are asking questions and there is no answer coming out, that is seen as apathetic. Because the reason you're on social media is to engage with your audience. And if you're not engaging, that's a problem. Now, there are going to be times where you consciously decide to sit it out. If that's the case, just make sure you understand what's happening. But it's important to respond swiftly with a thoughtful response that is best for the brand. So I don't want to inspire panic, like, oh, we need to get something out now. No. Think about what's best for the brand. Basically, don't have social media be an afterthought when something's happening. If a crisis email has been sent out to all users or everyone, probably should go on social media as well. Because why? One of our biggest audience are parents, especially if it has to do with students. Every single time, and I don't necessarily like it because that means I have to come in on weekends or after hours, but my boss, when there's something that happens, he will say, hey, you need to cover this, our parents are gonna eat this up. I'm like, okay. But then I do it, and it's some of our highest engaged mediums with lots of thanks and different things. Let's not tell Dan Anderson I said that, but he is right in the sense that people care about their children's safety. So when something like that goes on, you want to make sure you're getting that information out. Now, this is a big one. On social media, whether it's fair or not, perception equals reality. You need to think of every possible way something can be interpreted. Inappropriate, perverted, it sounds funny, but this was University of Kentucky. They came out with a new logo. Now, they're the Wildcats. Is that a Wildcat? Yes, yes, right? It's a Wildcat. Or is it two birds making sweet, sweet love? Now, I didn't make this. The internet made it. But when the internet comes out with it, if y'all can't see it, I'm not gonna point it out. Y'all just have to see that yourselves. But my point being is, did Kentucky intend for this to come out? No, of course not. But people are gonna take it whichever way they want. Now, we want an even realer example. Anton Scalia just passed an anonymous $30 million donation was given to JMU. This is happening right now. $30 million donation was given to George Mason. Did I say JMU? George Mason University. So, to the law school. So they named it the Anton Scalia School of Law. A-S-S-O-L. ASS Law is trending on Twitter. This is a law school. Do they mean it like that? No. Are they above that type? Of course they are. Internet's not. Social media is not. And I'll tell you what, I didn't hear about this until that came out. So I say that to say, if there's something in your head that you think could be turned into something else, say it. Because you are not the most creative person on the internet, and they will find it. So for better or for worse, perception equals reality. And this comes with negligence as well. Don't try and be funny, especially when it's away from your brand, because that's when it can get you in trouble. Classic examples. Anyone know the name Justine Sacco? This was about 2011, 2012. She worked for a nonprofit. She was heading to South Africa, I believe, to do some charity work. She boards the plane. Now, why she lost her mind and put this out, I have no idea. But she tweets, heading to Africa today, hope I don't get AIDS, just kidding, I'm white. and boards an 11-hour flight. Turns off her phone, it's in airplane mode. Oh, Twitter caught that. All of a sudden, it's retweeted 1,000 times. Her name is trending. Has Justine Sacco landed yet? Hashtag is trending to the point where she is fired when she is flying in the air. She's watching Land Before Time, doesn't know she doesn't have a job. I don't know why I thought of that movie, but we're gonna go with that. She got fired from that job. She gets another job, a few years later, does an interview about how she was so sorry, she should never have done that. People are still so upset she got fired from that job. So now she's at another company under a different name, will not tell anybody where she works because of one tweet. Because she's trying to be funny. Where the humor is in that, I don't know. But be careful, because one thing can turn into your reality. People see her as a blatant racist. Is she? I don't know her, but probably not. Doesn't matter. That's what the internet sees. So, wow, Adam, congratulations on showing us what you do for 8 hours a day, every day. You do realize we have other stuff to do besides social media, right? Yes, I get that. So, let's go through some quick tips for an effective social media strategy. I know, now the pens are coming out. Look at this, all right. I know that there are lots of other things y'all are doing. Social media seems like another task that now I have painted a serious picture that needs a whole lot of time. And while yes, it can, it absolutely does, my job is important. Okay, good, I needed that to be stressed. Let's go over some ways that you can maximize that effect. You can create a content calendar with events pertinent to your brand. So brand department. Now, that's school-wide, that's events that you're hosting, that's events other departments are hosting. Put those on a calendar and decide, are you gonna tweet about that? Are you gonna Facebook that? How is that gonna look? Then you can schedule ahead. That's really important. This can take a lot off of your plate. You can come up with content for the week, come up with content for the month, schedule ahead, especially if it's evergreen content, which means they can go out no matter what the day is. It's good to have that kind of stuff in there so you don't have to always have time-sensitive information. The way that I tweet from our brand is very much in the moment, because I want people to feel that Elon University is right there with them. Y'all got stuff to do. I get paid for social media, you all don't. So I understand you all have to do other things, so schedule ahead. However, if you're doing that, be attentive, set notifications for replies, and set notifications for your own timeline. Now, I'm not going into logistics of things. I am happy to discuss how to do all of this at a later date. So don't like, oh, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't worry. Be attentive, especially, and here's an example that I give. We were running an Elon Global photo every Friday. We had it scheduled for 5 Fridays on Instagram. And every Friday, because we wanted to help boost their followers, because as we all know here, study abroad is huge for us. So we wanted to help them with that. 3 Fridays in a row, we had it. 4th Friday, we stopped. Why? Paris attacks happened. We're not going to be tweeting how great it is to study abroad when we just had an enormous terror attack happen. Now, if we had scheduled that ahead and forgotten about it, that comes off as insensitive. Did we mean it? No. Doesn't matter. Perception equals reality. So if you're going to schedule ahead, make sure you know what's coming out when and what else is happening around you. And then be consistent. Creating good content also means creating good content consistently. Because people notice. You stay consistent with the amount of content you put out and consistent with your voice. And now I take this as a compliment, but around 6 weeks to 2 months into my job, people started coming up to me and say, hey, I've really noticed a change in the way social media sounds. It sounds, very, personable, almost like, a millennial would be. which was a conscious choice because most of our constituents are in that category. But we have to stay consistent with that. And it was a gradual change. There was some resistance at first. So stay consistent. And then give love to get love. While this is horrible dating advice, this is perfect for social media. What you want is to show other people that you care about what they're talking about. In turn, hopefully, they'll do the same. Now, with this, make sure all the stuff you like, you retweet, goes with your brand. Because there are people that use their social media sites as their personal sites. And if I look through and I see all the things that you've liked and it's models and basketball players and all this stuff, that doesn't look very professional. And also, if those people start coming to your content, is that the audience that you want? But show other people that you care about what they want, because for better or for worse, that's what people want to see. When I put stuff on the gram, at they call me AC, by the way, I want people to like my stuff. But I also show love to others that I'm interested in on social media. That said, it sounded weird. And then you want to market outside of social media. If you have a campaign, great. But if it's on social media exclusively, then only your current followers are going to see it. If you have an event, show that you have a social media presence. Yes, a little table tent is great. Make some mention of it. Tie in something to that real life event. Tweet us a photo of you at this event. Now, that could dive into a whole other conversation of contests and different things like that. One thing I would say is don't rely heavily on incentive-based contests, because then you have an incentive-expectant audience that may not really care about what you're putting out. Contests are fine, but we don't want that to be our pillar that we build on. So, here are the things if you are managing an Elon account. These are things that we should know just to start. This isn't all of it, just to start. 1, all word marks, profile photo, and cover photo must abide by the new brand guidelines. Now, if you like that website, I'll happily send that to you. But we have gone through this undertaking to streamline how Elon looks. That includes social media. Sometimes some of y'all get a little crazy with some of the stuff that you put as your profile photos and stuff. Remember that you're representing a bigger institution. If somebody comes to your department's page first before any other Elon University sanctioned event, you are Elon University to them. And how does even your visual word mark represent Elon? A staff member is responsible for every post and post approval on accounts. Now, I know some people have student workers and they want them to draft the plans, to do all that. Our policy is a staff member is responsible for it. I'm not telling you what to do, but all we're saying is if something goes wrong, the staff member is the one responsible. So don't give it to students and then forget, because that's on you or whoever's on there. So just be mindful of that. And then new account creation requests should be made through through University Communications. Then there's my email right there. We'll send a form. We'll talk about it. Now, like I said before, I am not the law when it comes to social media. If you meet with me, we'll talk about what your plans are, what your needs may be, and I will give you suggestions on what platforms I want to do. Hey, I'm with the bursar's office. I want to do a Snapchat. Okay, I don't really think that's probably best because not a lot of people. Yeah, okay, cool, but like we want to do a Snapchat. Okay, are you sure? Because Snapchat's a big time investment. Yeah, no, Adam, we're going to do a Snapchat. Okay, cool. Then you can do your Snapchat. Now, don't say, hey, Adam, we don't have a lot of followers. Nah, then I'm not helping you with that because I told you shouldn't have had it in the first place. Actually, do tell me that so I can tell you I told you so. That'll be, no, never mind. I'm not that petty. Well, but know that I'm here to help you with that. I'm not going to shut anything down or tell you an affirmative no. That's not my job. My job is to help you see, okay, this is what is most time effective for you, knowing that you have other work to be done. And then if in doubt, ask. Now this was difficult for me when I first started, because if you can't already tell, I think I'm hilarious. So there's a lot of things that I wanted to put out. Then I'd run it up the chain. No, we can't do that. Why? Because X, Y, and Z. Oh. So if in doubt, ask. Because once you hit publish, it's not like writing an article and sending it to an editor who then sends it to somebody else who corrects everything and then puts it up. It's live. So when in doubt, ask. So, social media resources. We're currently in the process of creating best practices for Facebook, for Twitter. That will be coming down shortly. I'm excited about that. Until then, we have myself. I am happy to help answer any type of question. You all can take pictures of the screen. Oh, never mind. I'm happy to take any question you may have about anything. Now, I'm still learning. I'm not afraid to say that. Social media is changing. In a few months, Instagram's algorithm is going to change. So people are going to have to learn engagement all over again about that. Facebook has changed the way you view your home page from a business page. So everything is changing. So don't be afraid to ask. I don't care if you want to ask me, hey, what is a tweet? Ask me. That's fine. That's why I'm here. Any type of question, I don't care if it's something I said in this presentation, whatever it may be, if it's something that you think you should know, it doesn't matter. We're here for you. I took away your question. You can't ask that one anymore. Anything that you may have, that's what I'm here for. So, with that being said, thank you all very much for listening. If you all have any questions, I'll take some right now, with the exception of Aaron. If you all have any questions, I know I threw a lot of information out at you, but if you have any questions right now, I'm happy to answer some. Yeah.
So what's the best way to access all your new webinars?
So I know Dan Anderson, if you look back at your FactStaff emails, which I know everyone reads so diligently, he sent one out with that link in there. However, if you want to email me, I'll shoot that over to you all. But that's the best place to find all of our new word marks. And that's going to take some time. I know that's a huge undertaking. So that's going to take some time. But yeah, there's a website on elonuniversity.com/university communications. When you're there, if you go to brand policies, click in there and you'll find it there. But I'm happy to shoot that to whoever may need that. Yes?
And I would think your eye on some unit's calendar that you created to say, that makes no sense for Facebook. That makes sense for Twitter. Would you be available to do that sort of thing?
Yes, on an ad hoc basis. Yeah, I definitely think if you want to say, hey, look, let's meet and definitely talk about that until you kind of get in that rhythm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If there's anything you want me to eyeball, things like that, yes. Yeah.
Can you talk about the difference between Facebook pages versus Facebook groups? Since I'm sure a lot of people own both or one or the other.
Pages is your department's a dominant voice. Think about a classroom, like a presentation. You're giving out most of the content. People can add, ask questions, react to that content as they see fit. A group is a discussion. We're all in a room and we can all add to it as we'd like. Pages, you have more control. That's the positive. You also means that you need to be coming up with the content. It looks bad if something is sitting there without any content for a while. So you need to make sure you're on it. Groups, if something sits dormant for a while, that's okay. However, you may not always have control of that content. So that's going to be pretty specific to what you're looking for. For example, if you're the math department looking for something just for alumni, you probably want to do a group. If you're the math department, you probably want to have a page so you can have all that information going through. And do you have a question? Nice. Thank you all very much. Like I said, You can email me if you'd like about anything. And but thank you all for coming. I appreciate it.